doing some business travel. Again, I was like, well, for this conference or whatever, I'm going to travel for this, you know. And then my team just got more done, you know, the more. And I wasn't a micromanager, and I wasn't looking over their shoulder. But the first like epiphany was back, now we're remote, but back when we were all in an office, I would be working on something or I'd get off a great call with somebody, you know, and Alan was like, oh, I really want this, or this would be cool. And I'd go over there and talk to development, or I'd talk to support, and I would just kind of, and, you know, I would always say, hey, is this a good time? I'd be polite, but perhaps they should have said no, but they would say yes. And then we would, you know, we would talk about it, and it felt productive because we would just workshop. What if we did this? What if we started doing this? How could we build this in? So it felt good. But what I realized is it was a giant, you know, distraction.
100%.
And so
100%. I had to give a speech to my staff. It's my fault. And I actually had to go to them in our last staff meeting and said, look, when an Alan event comes up, that doesn't mean stop everything else. You know, I may have something I may bring up like that, but trust me, taking care of the clients, handling our backup management, handling our portals, that's more important. Unless I specifically tell you this is an emergency, you know, please, because I kept catching people, and you know, they're trying to please me and they're trying to do the right thing, and then I realized like I'm the problem. Stop, you know, disrupting their workflow.
I love that, and especially you catching them, because it took me too long to realize that just because I, as a human, happen to be the boss, they're interpreting that as urgency.
Yes.
And so I had to give the same kind of speech and say, hey, no, like it should go in the queue with everybody else.
I didn't catch it. One of my other senior guys here who I love, you know, who's has no problem telling me what's right and wrong, which I like. I use very straight.
You need that kind of guy in your life. That kind of person,
I mean, sometimes he drives me insane, but you know what? He calls me out. He's like, look, you got to be careful when you give, you know, when you do this, they stop everything. They stop and they hit that fully. And next thing you found, clients have been ignored for 4 hours and da-da-da. Like, whoa. And it's like, you may say it, you may tell them that, but you got to, no, you can't, you know. I'm like, oh, that's good advice.
I love that. Yeah, I've got one person on my team that's super direct, and some people that ruffles their feathers a little bit, but I love it because I never have to wonder how he's feeling. Yeah. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, you know, when he's like, you're doing this, like you're really interrupting people. And I'm like, oh, I am. Yeah, most recently I was able to, so I've tried to flip this on its head. I've been able to catch people. And what I mean is that the two most recent ones is I've caught, quote unquote, caught somebody sending back, you know, emails or messages on whatever you use, Teams or Slack, you know, in the evening when there was no emergency. And so whenever I see that, I'm like, hey, like, unless you just feel like you got to work, like quit working. Yeah. And then another one that's funny, but in the, you know, remote work from home, sometime hybrid. Somebody bought, you know, it wasn't a computer, it was like an extra device to be more productive. And then they had been getting more done. That's how I realized. And then I was just talking to them. I'm like, you're just really getting things done. And this is happening. And they're like, yeah, I went and bought this with their own money. Yeah. And, you know, so it's a classic, like the employee, the team member, this person, just, you know, God love them. Yeah. Their heart is absolutely in the right place. But that's what I told them. I said, I caught you and you're going to, you know, we're going to pay for that. Yeah. Like if you're using that for work, we need to pay for it.